Brett Perigo, tonight's second place finisher. Plenty of fans here, Brett, and a solid second place finish.
Yeah, I got to shout out the Turn 2 Terribles over there. They're all a bunch of good guys to hang out with, talk to. I really like them.
How are you doing tonight, man?
Hey, I'm talking here. You know who you're talking to? Macho Man! I'm on my way to Monday Night Raw.
To the second one.
Your choice.
It's a trap.
I feel like it is. I feel like he's setting up fights in the front stretch is what he's trying to do.
Speedway. We've got Devin Board with us.
At Keen Motorsports Shop here with Kyle Keen.
Sitting here with Sean Keen. We're going to talk a little bit about racing history.
Yep. Monday, October 14th, 2024. What's going on? I am Jimmy here with Chris and Jay-Z. We are the Turn 2 Terribles. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in tonight. We see you guys in the chat. Brad, Marie, Santos, Matt, Ken. What's going on, guys? Thanks up, everybody. We got a great show for you planned tonight. We have Jordan Givler, who's going to join us second time on the program. He had a pretty eventful Saturday night. We're going to talk about that and how his 2024 season went and what future might hold for them. And then we'll also recap the Outlaw race at Lincoln, take a look at the last few races for the High Limit Series as they closed out their season this past weekend, and look at their point standings, and then take a look take a look ahead here this weekend to the Lincoln 50 lapper that was just announced, and more. So, Chris, Jay-Z, how are you guys feeling on this brisk, breezy, chilly Monday fall evening?
I am great. Jay-Z can't talk, so that's great for all of us. He's the only one that went to a race this weekend.
Yeah.
So we can't even talk, but he can't talk, so we should capitalize Jimmy. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. It's trying to keep warm, a little bit of a cold, weather shock here going on. It's really starting to hit fall now, but it looks beautiful for next weekend. That's for sure. We'll see if Jay-Z here can get his stuff here going. But yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in. As always, if you got questions for Jordan or comments or whatever, put them in the chat. We're gonna bring him here in a second. Dakota says, I hope Chris talks a lot like he did at Diga trying to come up with cartoon strategy.
Yeah, if only Dakota would take his own advice and listen to his crew chief, he'd be better off.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we got you.
By the way, I went out and mowed the lawn tonight. It was a great night to mow the lawn. It was beautiful. It wasn't so damn hot. Got it done.
Yeah.
May hope for the last one of the year. It was great.
It was very windy. Everything in my backyard was blown all over the place today. But it's getting. I'm not ready for 30-degree nights. That's for sure. All right. Without further ado, let's bring in tonight's very special guest, Jordan Givler. Jordan, thank you so much for joining us. How are you feeling tonight?
Not too bad. Got to be honest, little maybe TMI, but my balls hurt. I was not expecting that one. So I guess that tells you how hard that shot was on Saturday night. But no, I'm feeling better here. Better than this morning and definitely better than yesterday. Ribs are still a little bit sore on the right side. Left arm's a little sore, but definitely could be far worse. So fortunate to be here talking to you guys tonight. Head's doing okay, which is probably the most important thing. I had some issues there in the pits a little bit after the crash, and did end up going to the hospital Saturday night. They did a bunch of scans and found nothing concerning, which is always good. Felt good yesterday, but this morning woke up and for a few hours was a little foggy, groggy, whatever. But that kind of cleared up. So yeah, we're getting there.
Before we get into anything, I do want to show the clip if anybody did miss it from what happened on Saturday night for what we're referencing real quick. All right, I did want to just show that real quick. Glad to see that you are okay. I just heard it now that I'm listening to it at headphones. You can hear when the wreck happened. You could hear, at least I thought it sounded like the motor hung open. So you want to give us a little bit of what happened there?
Yeah, before we start, I just have to say, if you would have told me that we would come out of Outlaw weekend in the fall and I was going to be one of the most logical guest choices, it just blows my mind, man. But here I am, right? Not the way maybe I wanted, but yeah. So, I guess I'll kind of back up before we get to the track. We kind of put ourselves in a decent spot, actually. We were racing before a transfer spot when that happened. So we timed okay. Not great. We were 14th in our group, which we're starting 7th. You can see the transfer spot in front of you with the fire off. So,
You're cutting out a little bit. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
I think we're losing audio.
You got me?
Yeah, now we got it. Yeah. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. No, just saying we did put ourselves in a decent spot. We started 7th in a heat race, so not ideal, but at least when you can start with the transfer spot right in front of you, if you can get a good start, maybe you can put yourself in position. And I think Crawley spun out, and at one point we restarted 5th right behind Shots. And we were racing with Trout for 5th. We had 2 restarts there. We fired off 5th. Trout was 6th, and he killed me on both restarts, and just couldn't keep up with him. But we were there, so I don't know that we would have been able to transfer through the heat race, being honest, maybe. But it was kind of looking like we were going to put ourselves in position to be starting in the top 4 in the B, which, for a team like ours at an Outlaw show, I guess I'll be a little realistic and say that probably was going to exceed our expectations. And at that point, you just hope you can do what you have to do in the B to make the show. So we'll definitely take that as a positive out of the night. Wasn't the fastest car there by any means, but we were close enough to maybe doing something. So that part was cool. Yeah, I mean the wreck was definitely the hardest hit I've ever taken yet in a race car. So definitely feel a little fortunate to just be in the condition that I'm in right now, which is not bad at all things considered. Yeah, just kind of like I said, racing, trying to chase down Trout, and next thing I knew, I had a car virtually in my lap, and unfortunately, I guess whenever he made contact with me, it must have shoved the dash and the hood forward. I'm not exactly sure. It was actually Danny Dietrich that figured out exactly what happened, and I wasn't feeling the greatest, so I wasn't too much around the car right after the crash, but somehow the throttle hung open. So I was not in it, but as soon as we hit, I don't know if the steering broke or something broke in the suspension, so the car just veered right, and it was wide open into the wall. So that was hard. And then when we started flipping, I was telling Jimmy earlier, I didn't know I even got into the catch fence. A buddy of mine shot me a text yesterday with he was standing outside and he's like, "Dude, look how high you hit." It's like, I didn't even know I hit it. But that's actually how I messed my arm up. So whenever I started flipping, obviously once all the wheels were off the ground, I heard the thing free revving, which I'm going through the air, but also owning everything. I'm like, oh no, like this is not good. Like I need to figure out how to stop this. So I reached up to try and hit the kill switch while I was flipping, and I think I just landed, and I guess probably my arm came down, maybe like on the shoulder or the rib support on the seat. I don't know. That's all I can make sense of when I came down. But yeah, so when I stopped, the thing was still screaming, and I went to reach up, and here, I guess also when we made contact, the kill switch is mounted to, like, we call it the ignition plate. So it has our tack, it has our mag box. It's all one unit that comes through the dash. When we hit, that got knocked off and fell on the injection. So there was no kill switch to hit. So I very quickly thought, okay, well, let me reach down and kill the fuel. So once I shut the fuel off, the thing shut off pretty quick. So yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we got the car in the garage yesterday. My wife helped me put it back in here, and we looked it over, and there's not going to be too much on it that we're going to be able to use again. It's in pretty rough shape. It's bent in the front and the back, shoved over pretty good. The rear, not exactly sure what transpired. It's kind of weird. I was trying to figure out, like, when I landed, you've seen cars before when their throttle like hangs open, they land on all four, where the car just starts like taking off and spinning. And for like a split second, I was like, crap, like that might start to happen. Like I gotta get this thing shut off. And then once I had a chance to think about it, I was like, well, wait, why was I just like hung open and not going anywhere? So I figured that probably the rear just got pulled back and the drive shaft got pulled out of the U-joint. Well, the one thing I did check last night, I pulled the torque tube back, and actually all the splines are completely eaten out of the U-joint. So I don't know. I've never seen that before. But the drive shaft was also out of the U-joint. So what transpired between hitting the wall, I don't know if maybe the rear broke and bound up, and then, the motor's turning, and being the aluminum yoke on a steel drive shaft, obviously aluminum's gonna be the softer metal if that's just what ate the teeth away. And then when I landed again, the rear came back or what. So I don't know. I would say probably the main concern though is hopefully the motor's not hurt too bad. I mean, obviously our tax said 10.5, so 10,500. So that's certainly far higher than you ever want to turn these things. And it was sustained there long enough, at least to me when I was flipping. So hoping for the best with that. And I guess if there's a silver lining, the year was almost over and it was about due for a rebuild. So if we can get through it without too much additional internal damage, it's better than being 2 races in, I guess, to a fresh motor.
Yeah.
Jimmy, do you have that picture handy?
I do.
So we got a picture of that. So explain to what the hell we're looking at here, because I'm big stupid. So explain to me what we're looking at here.
Yeah, so that's the U joint coming off the back of the motor. The red piece there is what they call the torque ball housing, and basically, as probably most of the audience knows, so the drive line in a sprint car runs right between our legs. So it's a direct drive vehicle. So the drive shaft runs right from the rear end underneath our legs into the U joint, and then there's what we call a torque tube over top of that to kind of keep everything in line, and it's pretty integral to the performance of the race car and the suspension and everything, and how the torque gets transferred. But basically, where you're looking at that, the drive shaft has splines on the end, and there should be splines all the way through or all the way around that yoke there. You can kind of see them in the very back, but they should be all the way around from the edge back, and there's none. You just see a ton of aluminum shavings. So there should be a lot of splines in there that the drive shaft would slide into, and yeah, there's none. So that's pretty wild. I did send it. So we run a lot of DMI components, and Adrian Schaefer works for DMI, and he's been a friend of mine for a long time. And I sent that to him and said, hey, we just created your newest model U joint, the splineless model. So new technology coming here soon, I guess.
So one of the things I found interesting, I was able to make it over to the pits not too long after it happened. I was able to make it over, and you said one of your first calls that you got was from who? Or text?
Dave Sharpley. So I made Sharp Advantage. So a lot of people might be familiar with that, like maybe on the Dirt Vision or Flow broadcast, you might see Sharp Advantage. So fortunately, 2 years ago, I got a new Ultra Shield seat. And before I brought it home, my dad and I actually went out to Indianapolis where Dave is, and he does custom mold inserts of your body. So you go out to his shop. It's like a 2-day process. He pours the mold, and basically it's a cushion that we sit on that forms to your butt, your back, all of it. And the goal is to reduce back injuries and neck injuries. So definitely very happy that I made the decision to go out there and see him 2 years ago. Didn't necessarily take a hard landing on all fours Saturday night, but you never know how bad something could be, right? And then same with the padding on my shoulders, the padding around my headrest. He actually takes time to build the headrest out so that the more foam you have beside your head, the more you have to absorb an impact. And I was telling Jimmy before we started, for as hard as I hit that wall wide open, I felt very little in the moment. So that's what you want. And Dave is like, man, he's a safety guru, and he's very serious about it. But what he's brought to sprint car racing from the IndyCar world, I think, has probably helped a lot of guys. And I can't help but feel that between that, the seat that I've got from Ultra Shield, obviously the head and neck stuff, and Ryan Linder builds a super safe race car with these X1s, definitely helped keep me safe. And I had to joke with him. So when I was out there getting the insert poured, we were talking about how important the seatbelt location is, that he has seen a lot of guys mount their belts incorrectly. And one of the things that drives him nuts is the crotch belt. In the past, that was always a belt that wasn't really adjustable. Like, you would set it to a certain length, and then the only thing you had to adjust was your hip belt on the left side, and obviously your shoulders to tie down, but the crotch belt wasn't adjustable. So it was always next to impossible to get it really to the correct tightness when it's already just set, because you have to have it free enough that you can connect the rest of your belts, because if it's too tight, you're never going to get everything kind of latched together. So whenever we were out there, he showed me new belts that Ultra Shield just came out with after Darren Pittman bought the company. And it had, I guess I'll call it an adjustable crotch belt, or it's one that you can actually pull up and it tightens itself. So it's the seat belts. I don't know how many people have seen the newer ones, but there's actually a ratchet mechanism that we have a little 1/4-inch drive ratchet that I can actually ratchet my belts tight after I latch in. And I can pull the crotch belt like snug as I'm ratcheting the hip belts tight. So I had to, he messaged me there literally. I mean, it was when I looked at my phone finally after the crash, 2 minutes, I guess, maybe after I wrecked, that message was there from him, asking if I was okay, which I thought was awesome. Cause certainly I'm not a big time customer or anything, but I think that just kind of shows you the kind of guy that Dave is, and making sure I was okay. Well, then Sunday I did have to send him a message like, dude, my nuts hurt. Like, you were right about this crotch belt, but like, these things are throbbing. Like it was a shot. So, but yeah, definitely thankful for making that trip and what Dave's brought to the safety side of sprint car racing.
So one of our commenters in here, Gary Ferguson, fellow photographer, you and him have something in common. You both wrecked a race car here in the last week, or I mean, a car, not a race car, but a car. So hopefully Gary's on the mend. He actually had a little car accident, I think, last Friday night on the way home from the racetrack. So hopefully he's on the mend. I saw him; he was actually at Lincoln, so looks like he's up and around a little bit. So you went and got checked out. I saw you in the pits, and you weren't. I didn't see any visible like, hey, I don't feel good. But maybe an hour or 2 hours later, you started feeling it in the trailer, or was it on your way home in the car?
Yeah, it was in the trailer. Like as soon as I got out of the car, like I knew my ribs were hurting and my arm was hurting pretty good. But other than that, I was like, well, I'm fine. And I guess we can blame Cody Hartlaw because he decided to flip in the feature too. And we're good buddies, so we were pitted next to each other too. And they were towing him in, so I just kind of walked over to see what damage he had and if I could have been of any assistance to them. And someone said about grab a jack stand, so I jogged up to our trailer to get one, brought it back out, and I don't know. I went back into the trailer after that and just kind of looked in the lights, and all of a sudden my vision went like just super weird. I was seeing spots everywhere. I got super lightheaded, felt like I was going to throw up. It was an odd sensation. Like if I was looking straight ahead, in the corner of my left eye, it was like there was a ceiling fan spinning. Like I just saw black dots spinning. And maybe 30, 40 minutes that lasted. But it was enough that like when I'm sitting there and like can't really focus on anything and think I'm going to puke, I was like, okay, like this is not normal. So my guys went and had the EMTs come down from the racetrack and they checked me out and kind of made the decision right then that like, okay, we probably ought to go get checked out to be safe. Like I've got enough pain. Like what if I had a cracked rib? Like what if my arm was broke? Probably wasn't, but like at that point it was like, I got enough stuff going on here that I've never, fortunately, that was my first trip to a hospital from a race car crash, but made the most sense to go. And all that kind of went away on the way to the hospital. And I got in there and I did learn something that whenever I was getting ready to leave, the EMTs at the track said, make sure you tell them when you get there that you crashed a race car and you were going 120 miles an hour. And I was like, well, I don't think we're going 120 at Lincoln. Like I definitely wasn't when I hit the wall. I was like, oh, yeah. So I walked in and they're like, yeah, what can we help you with? I was like, well, my head was kind of weird, this and that. And they're like, well, how fast were you going? I said, like 120. And it was like the world stopped. Like there's like 3 or 4 nurses just sprinting. They run out, they put me in a chair, they wheel me back. They're like, take all your clothes off. Like lay on this bed, like naked. I was like, all my clothes, like everything. I'm like, crap. Like if I knew this, I would have said 60 miles an hour. But yeah, no, it was a whole ordeal. And I kid you not, I probably had 8 or 9 people over top of me, which in the moment, because the symptoms kind of cleared themselves already, I felt, I don't say dumb, but I was like, man, I'm making them go through all this stuff, and I almost felt bad. Like, I don't, Like, there might be somebody else that needs this. I don't. I didn't know this is what the whole ordeal was going to be. I just wanted to make sure there was nothing wrong with me. But man, I got to give them props. Like the trauma teams in an ER. So I went to Holy Spirit because it's close to my house, and because the ambulance crew at Lincoln was like, look, you're certainly not in like a dire situation right now. So if you want to go somewhere that's closer to your house, by all means, go. So my wife drove me and went in and so apparently 120 miles an hour is the cue that like take your clothes off and this is going to get fun, because we were going to check every single thing under the sun. Like did ultrasounds in my eyes when I told them I had vision issues, CAT scan, the whole 9 yards, and definitely a wild experience. And I guess I'm glad I got to experience it and not be in a worse condition, right? So definitely props to everyone there in the medical profession of how they react and how quickly they react. And it was eye-opening. So hopefully I never have to experience that again. Or if I do, I guess I'll gauge how I feel based on and on what I tell them how fast I was going.
Yeah, and that's wild. I don't know if I've ever heard that. People say they went to the hospital, got checked out. I don't know if I've ever heard that detail of a story of like these people were like, oh shit, hair's on fire. Let's get this guy. going, because you never know. I think there's always those kind of stories of like, hey, I felt good, but things progress really quick, right? The adrenaline wears off. So shout out to that team for sure to make sure you were okay. It was actually kind of wild. I got a text a few hours after, and Jordan goes, "This escalated quickly," and he's in like a neck brace, and I'm like, "What the hell?" I just talked to him. He was just in his
Yeah.
trailer, and I was like, "Man," so we were certainly worried about you for a while there, man. So let's talk about the elephant in the room a little bit, and we'll just get into this a little bit. I know that the three of us are going to reserve judgment too loud here. We all saw what we saw. You lived it. Talked about the crash. Happened to be in 1 and 2, and I watched this kind of happen out of the corner of my eye. I was exit a 2, and it kind of was coming in toward me, and I saw you get out of the car really fast. And I was either like, okay, there's fuel all over him, or he's really pissed. Tell me about what you remember jumping out of there so fast, and kind of the events after that.
Yeah, so getting out so quick, I mean, obviously I was upset. I don't think that really had anything to do with the speed that I was getting out. I think it was more, I knew how hard I hit. I knew the motor had been free revving for a while. I knew everything was screwed up, and I just sort of expected like I could have fuel spraying everywhere. I don't know why. It was just the way that wreck transpired. I knew as soon as I landed and got it shut off, like, I can get out of this race car. I'm getting out of this race car. I can't really explain that. It was just in that exact moment, it was just, I'm getting out. I don't know. And then obviously I'm good. And, relatively, right? Like physically, like I'm out of the car. I'm okay. We're through this. And yeah, I mean, honestly, pretty damn pissed off at the moment because as far as I know, I'm just trying to chase down Chad Trout and hopefully have an opportunity to put ourselves in the show in an outlaw race, which would have been badass for us. And I've got a junk race car, so yeah, I was pretty frustrated.
So they walk over Connor Wade, right? He comes over, and I saw him wandering around you, and I don't know if you had noticed him right away, but when I saw him, and I'm like, they're going to try to interview him. He's going to be pissed. Like, maybe Jordan. I don't know what was wrong. Like, I'm observing, watching this. I even got a couple pictures of, like, as you said, yeah. I think I even saw you go, yeah, I can do that. Like, I heard him kind of tap you on the shoulder. So you get to start this interview, and you barely get a word in, and then you get shoved. Were you as confused as everybody else on the planet as to why you got shoved at that moment?
1000%. Yeah. I mean, it was the last thing I was expecting, right? Yeah, so I was just kind of looking at the car, and I turned around, and there's Connor. And I don't know, it's weird. Like, I don't run many outlaw races, and you sit at home sometimes on a rain out, and you watch outlaw races, or they're running on a weekday, and you see a guy wreck, and you see Connor Wade go up, and you do this interview, and you're like, oh, man, that sucks. And I turn around, and he's like, hey, Jordan. I was like, oh, shit, like, okay. And yeah, no, but he's like, hey, do you want to do an interview? And for whatever reason, I kind of laughed. I was like, huh, I don't know, just the whole situation. And he's like, you can say absolutely anything you want to. And it was like, you son of a bitch, I'm in. Let's do this interview. So, not that I necessarily had exactly anything planned out in that moment, but I do like the picture that you posted, Jay-Z, because it either looks like I'm like mid-concussion or just like
little dazed, like, what am I going to say?
Yeah, yeah. So I guess maybe I was trying to collect my thoughts there a little bit on kind of how I wanted to explain the situation from my vantage point. Yeah, that was just wild. Certainly didn't expect it. Obviously had my back turned, so didn't have the opportunity to see anything coming. And yeah, just unique, right? I mean, obviously emotions run high in racing. I've seen a lot of guys get wiped out and then go after a guy and shove him, push him, hit him, whatever. At least in my opinion, I've never seen somebody wipe somebody else out unprovoked and then seek them out, right? So I was like, wait, what? Like, what am I missing here? So it was different. It was different, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, it is what it is, right? It's part of the game. Like I say, emotions run high, and I don't know. Like I read a couple comments that honestly, like throughout the night when I was laying in the hospital waiting for them to read the results, and I have the stupid neck brace on. That honestly, one of the other things that hurt me so much was my damn Adam's apple yesterday, because that neck brace was so tight for hours. Like, man, like this thing hurts. But anyways, I'm laying there like straight up trying to read my phone just to like pass time, and obviously I'm starting to see some comments roll in, and I don't know. I saw a couple that were like, he's such a pussy. He should have hit back or sent back or replied, like it's a sad world when a grown man doesn't do this or that. I'm like, I don't know, like.
You have a lot going on there, though. You're trying to do an interview. You just got out of a wrecked race car, and it's like, what do people expect you to do? Like you're still trying to get your bearings about you.
You weren't expecting it to happen, and you were for all you know, 1,000% the victim. So why would I be getting pushed? Like confusion, and I'm doing an interview on Dirt Vision with Connor Wade. Like, none of what the hell just happened? Like, and then you come back because you wanted to finish your interview because you started to do your freaking interview, and then you came back to do it, and I don't know why it was holding down at your dick, and you had to bend over, but it was just like, I don't blame you at all, and I know you well enough that you're not the style to go seeking out a confrontation with people, whether it was your fault or not. That's not your style. So like, let alone your confusion, you're probably got your brain just mashed against your skull. So like, I totally understand and all of us were like, what the hell just happened? Why are you so angry? What did we miss? Like, at first we were all like, what the hell did we miss? Like, as we got it, and Lynn Schaefer, what Dirt Vision didn't catch the wreck. They didn't have a camera in turn one, but Lynn Schaefer's up top in the middle 1 and 2, and they showed it on the board at Lincoln. He ran up it was probably 15 minutes later. He got down off of his perch, ran up to the booth, and handed the video over, and they played it on the board at Lincoln, and people were like, holy shit. Like, because if you didn't see it, you didn't see it. And everybody was like, what? Everybody was even more confused then as to why the hell this guy would be mad at you. Like, how on earth would he be upset with you? So, like, all of us were kind of that same way. And his dad, I think, came out on the track and didn't make it any better. He was pissed off for whatever reason. Like, I think he was concerned at first, obviously, but then he was yelling and carrying on at you too. And no one understood why. So there was a lot that went really wrong there. And it sounds like it carried on in the pits, which is just insane to me. As you were kind of getting hauled back through the pits, it continued. An apology came out on Facebook, kind of to everybody. Have you heard directly from Dallas yet?
I have, and I'll get to that here in a second. I want to jump back to one thing here. So
sure, go ahead.
And obviously being a dad now, so I've got a 10-week-old son at home, which has been a badass experience. But I also want to raise him like with the same values I was raised with. And I joked with a couple people because obviously I've gotten all sorts of messages, which I probably couldn't read 90% of them on here. But and my joke was like, if you know me and you've been around me, like I'm 140 pounds, I'm 5'6". I was like, I just flipped my dick off. I'd like to be confident myself, right? But like, I've never been the fighting nature because I'm not built that way. And my joke to people was like, what if I then got my ass beat on live TV? That would have sucked. And it was going to be 2-on-1, right? Like it was going to be 2-on-1.
Yeah.
So like that's also worse. But no, like that's not my nature. I don't think that. I think violence or fighting. I don't want to say violence. Like fighting is like rarely the answer, right? And I just even if I was expecting it, like. That's not my nature, and if that makes me a pussy or whatever, like I'll take that. But it's just not who I am. So and that's not saying that the shove means anything negative, right? I'm just saying like there were numerous people that questioned my response, and that's my reason. Like it's just not who I am. It is what it is. So and like I said, I thought in that moment, I thought that kind of summed the whole situation up far better than anything I could have said in that moment too. So it just kind of was what it was. But yes, so Dallas did. He reached out to me this afternoon, and did apologize. Very long message about the shove and all of that. And we sent a couple messages back and forth to each other. And yeah, like it's behind us. You know, it made for good internet, good X, good Facebook stuff, right? And you know, I would probably venture to say that he probably wishes he could take a lot of that back on Saturday night. Um, which whatever, you know, we didn't really talk about the start of the incident at all. Don't need to. I don't really care. I have my opinion of how it went down. It seems like all of Lincoln Speedway knows how it went down. Um, some of the things that were said to me on Saturday there that you kind of insinuated, Jay-Z, in the pits, others felt, a select few felt that it was my doing, but that doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? It's a shame. We're both two small teams, and we both have wrecked race cars, and we both went to the hospital, and thankfully he's doing okay. It sounds like he's actually a little bit worse off than I am. So I hope he can rest up and get back to 100% quick. You know, it just a tough situation. So it at the end of the day, like, this isn't supposed to be, and you guys aren't doing this. Like, it's not a big sob story. Like, it's racing, right? Like, we're on the same track and we're going fast and we're trying to do the best we can. And unintentional, or like, which it was, you know, it wasn't like I'm just going to go in there and wipe out the 90. There's something like that. So it's racing. This stuff's going to happen. And if it wasn't for, you know, a couple little decisions there, I wouldn't be the guest of honor tonight. So, you know, it is what it is. It's all good. You know, we're going to race a lot together in the future, and it's just is what it is. It's racing. It's going to happen. You know, I've had run-ins with guys in the past. Everyone makes mistakes, and we're just going to move on from it. None of us are big enough to, of team perspective, like neither of us can afford to tear cars up. So to me, shit happens. Hell, he even offered to go out for a beer or something. So I don't know if our relationship's that far along yet, but we'll see. We might get there. But
we'll
no,
give it a couple weeks, maybe.
Yeah, but no, it's honestly in my world, it's all good. It was a hell of a 48-hour period here. But now, as far as I'm concerned, it's a non-issue. Shit happens. It's racing. You're going to tear stuff up, and we're going to move on to the best of our ability, and I'm sure they're going to do the same.
And it's a wild scenario where you got interviewed on Dirt Vision Live, you got mentioned on Dirt Tracker Daily, and all over Dirt Vision and World of Outlaw Twitter, and not the way you wanted to be mentioned for sure. But I think everybody now knows a little bit about your story if they didn't before. And you know, again, it's not the coverage you want, but I think everybody can relate to that. Hey, we're low budget, we got one car, we have one motor. You're out here doing your damn best, fighting for a features position in a World of Outlaw race. Like, man, if that's not that really should be the story. And both of you were. Again, it's not that different. We have you here, but like, that's the story that I hope it ends up being. So with that being said, that beautiful American flag top wing that I was eyeing up in the pits, that I'd love to have back here. I may have to pay for it though. Keep an eye out on Jordan's socials, Facebook page, either personal and or racing. They're going to chop that up and get that thing sold off to help pay for some of the parts in the off season, and maybe some other things get posted. We'll see how many body panels there need to be. Do you have a racing page, right? What is the racing page name?
Yeah, the Facebook racing page is Acceleration Motorsports. It's spelled EXCEL Eration because I had to be weird. I thought it sounded cool and looked cool. So, but that's what it is. And I'll honestly, if you're if you follow like my personal page, I'm sure there'll be a link. But yeah, we're probably gonna rip that top wing apart. We had a lot of really positive feedback with it, which I think a lot of people probably saw that story around Speed Week. So Tim Pfeiffer is a State Farm insurance agent, and he's been a supporter of our race team really since I started. And Tim's son, Zach, was tragically killed in a snowmobile accident back in February, right before the icebreaker. And if you've seen the center of the front wing, we've actually had a tribute to Zach where he's on top of his Chevy Silverado at a truck show, standing up there. It's a cool picture. And we've actually had it on the center of the front wing because Tim's State Farm business has always been on the sideboards of the front wing. So Zach's truck was like patriotic and American themed. And it was actually Jake Scrignoli that came up with the idea with me, that Danny Dietrich's crew chief, and like, hey, it'd be really cool if we did something with his truck at some point, or with your car based on his truck at some point. And man, I thought Speed Week, 4th of July, all that was perfect. So it really was supposed to be just a Speed Week deal, but everyone loved it. And I was getting ready to take a little 3 or 4 week hiatus when we were getting ready to have Mason, our son. And I was like, well, screw it. Like, by the time I come back, it's going to be mid-August, and I don't really feel like, re-lettering the body or anything. So I was like, well, let's just stick with it. So, yeah, we got a lot of positive feedback with that car, which was really cool. It had a deeper meaning, really. So, some people asked about shirts this year, and I can say that we're probably going to either, maybe not this exact scheme, but something very similar, we're probably going to plan to do next summer. That will just be for Speed Week. His family is in the process of setting up a nonprofit charity to help families that lose their children unexpectedly, to help cover medical expenses, funeral expenses, things like that. So with it being still kind of fresh come June, July, and them not having that set up, I just honestly didn't feel comfortable selling shirts yet. But we are going to do merch with this car next Speed Week, with the goal being they're fully set up, and all the proceeds from that are going to go to that charity then next Speed Week. In the meantime, no one plans to destroy their wings, right? I was actually just going to put it up in the trailer at the end of this year and wait for next summer. But at this point, yeah, because we are, and again, it's not a sob story. We're racing. Like, any night you go to the track, you can junk your stuff. So it is what it is. It's a little bit hard. This wasn't exactly the position that I was assuming we would be in going into next season. We were just going to run next Saturday and call it a year. And honestly, the car that we crashed is right behind me. Like I said, it's toast. So to kind of replace all of that, in addition to what we were kind of planning for next year, it's racing, so we'll figure it out. But there was a lot of positive feedback on that car, so figure once we get a chance to start tearing some stuff apart, we'll get that wing ripped apart and maybe see if we can't, find a new home for that.
One sideboard was like 90% perfect. That one side was pretty close. I was like, oh, I was eyeing that thing up in the pits. I'm sure a lot of other fans were coming by too, looking at it, going, those scavengers, man, they come and they tear that stuff up on Outlaw nights. So, so as you look at it, you're like you said, you had one more race planned. Good timing, kinda. I mean, you wanted to run that race, I'm sure, but you need some time off to heal up anyway. As you go into 2025, would your plan for next season be similar to this year, Lincoln mostly, and kind of pick some other places? I know you really like Clinton County, Lernerville. I think you've kind of traveled Sharon. Would that be sort of like your plan next year, kind of the same thing as you've done this year?
I think so. That Western PA Speed Week deal's fun, and it's just different scenery, right? So it's cool to see that at times. I love running Clinton County. It's a fun little joint. So going up there for sure. I think the schedule will probably look pretty similar. I would like to get to the Grove a little bit more. I do like racing there. It is hard for us on Friday nights with work, but if we plan far enough ahead, we can do it. It's especially like running the Billy Kimball tribute race there every year. It's just so hard to go into that and only having run like 2 times there the whole year and expect to be like ultra competitive, right? So it'd be cool to go there more. I think it'll probably look relatively the same schedule-wise to this year. We'll see where the off-season takes us and try and get this thing replaced and start digging through everything that's wrong and see what can be fixed, what needs replaced, and just kind of go from there.
Well, and if we know your crew chief, Dakota Kuhn, well, it's going to take him all damn winter to figure out what's broken. So,
yeah, why wasn't he helping? Why was your wife helping you unload it? Why wasn't he there unloading it?
Where's he at?
I figure, he had to drive the rig back himself, so I didn't want to pull him back up here on a Sunday to unload the car.
Nah,
right?
Screw that. Make him do it.
But
it can work. What's he going to do the rest of the winter?
Just nothing. No, what's he do all summer? Let's be real here. Come on. So, No, yeah. So yeah, we'll see where we're at. I mean, Jay-Z, we've talked the last, I'll say prior to Speed Week of this year, the year and a half prior to that was rough for us. I've really struggled with the transition to the new tires. And I thought we were making so much progress, like 2021, 2022. I think that's probably when you guys had me on the show, was like that off season. We just won out west. Like, we're doing all this stuff and I'm feeling great. And then, 2023 sucked. We went into last off season with way more questions than answers. Came into this year, we made some changes hoping it would work, didn't work. Made a frame change in the spring, thinking maybe that's what we needed, and that was not at all the ticket. But at least what it did was kind of get us looking in a different direction of our problems, because sometimes you can get so ultra focused on what you have, you can't really see the big picture. Part of the problem actually ended up being the way our top wings were built. We don't race that much, so I don't have to cycle top wings out very often like some teams do, and knock on wood, you're not crashing, so wings last a while. So we had gotten to the point as we were trying to make our program better years ago that I had wings starting to be built a certain way for the way the cars worked with the old tires. Well, why we're so stupid that we never thought that, like, hey, let's try a different top wing, because that's literally the most important thing on a wing sprint car. I don't know, because you just start chasing problems, and like, you don't think wing, you just go different directions. And what I found when we made that frame change earlier in the year is that, okay, I'm feeling similar things with this car. This has nothing to do with the car I've been racing. So it got us talking to other people, getting other ideas, thought about the wing. And then the other thing that people close to me know, but I never put it out there for no reason, because who cares? I was actually having a lot of issues seeing on the racetrack at night with glasses I had gotten before the year started. I was screwed up. Like, there was a race at the Grove where earlier this year, we were just garbage. Like, it was honestly probably the worst I've ever driven in my career. And there was a night where I honestly thought I was done. Like, I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I don't know what changed, but I can't drive a race car anymore. And just got to talking to other people, and I was like, I feel like I can't see certain things. And I said the right thing to the right person, and that started a conversation that snowballed, and actually went to, it's a place, if you're in the Mechanicsburg area, it's called Babineau Opticians. It's on Trindle Road. And my parents have gone there for 30 years. And the guys, my dad told him what was going on. He's like, come in. So he spent like 2 hours with me after he closed one night. And long story short, what I learned is the prescription that I had gotten from the eye doctor was like not at all what I should have had for driving a race car at speed. So I went in there because I was like, I need help seeing, like, when I'm on my laptop all the time for work now. So I get like this blue light coating, and the strength's all different. And basically the way the light was coming through the visor, through my lenses, and then with how strong the prescription was, it just had me jacked up. And he's like, so he spent a bunch of time, we did all this stuff with the helmet on, the helmet off, looking at distance. And it's actually the pair I'm wearing right now. Actually, these are just my everyday glasses now. I have my other pair when I'm like on the computer a ton. Dude, I put them on, we went to BAPS, and it was like, oh my gosh. Like, I forgot what it's like to see. And it just got me thinking, like, not to make excuses, like, we just sucked the other year, so it is what it is. It's probably me mostly, and not finding a balance with the car. But it was kind of a similar prescription to what I got to start 2023. Not so much the coating on those lenses, but I go there trying to help myself look at my phone and work on my laptop during the day at work, and never really think about, maybe I should mention to them that, like, hey, my hobby is trying to drive fast in circles at night.
At 120 miles an hour.
Speed. So that kind of screwed up. So whenever I got that, it was just like, okay, wait a second, time out. Like, everything we've been fighting for a year and a half, let's just forget about it. And we went right back to our X1, and we started working, and I could see. And oddly enough, come Speed Week, our performance took a turn in the right direction finally. Granted, we're not knocking on the door for wins, and I want nothing more than to get to that point. I thought we were getting a little closer to, maybe on the right Saturday night of a regular show at Lincoln a couple years ago, we had an opportunity if we did everything right and all the cards fell in our favor. We're nowhere close to that right now, but we're putting the car in the big shows. All the big shows at Lincoln we're in, we're timing better. for us, eighth to 10th in a flight. When you got guys like Wagaman and Dietz and Raymer and those guys, like, yeah, I'd love to get to the point where we can out-time them, but kind of being realistic, being a 10th off of them isn't horrible for where we've been for damn near 18 months. And then same deal with time trials. Saturday at the Outlaw show, I think a 10th we would have been 7th quick. 2 10ths we were 3rd or something. So like I'm not gonna, yeah, we want to get there, and I think we can if we stay on the right track. But we're finally getting to where, like, I'm having fun going to the races again, and we're having more speed when we're unloading, because there was a period of time here not long ago where like the 90 was bottom of the speed charts all the time. Time trials, hot laps, like, don't worry, I was aware, and it wasn't fun. But thankfully, like, all my guys, we pick on Dakota, but him, Cordell, Jake, Alex. If they were doubting me, they never told me. And all the partners that we have on the car stuck behind me, and we dug through it. So something as weird as maybe the wrong glasses prescription and not being smart enough to think about a top wing, you throw all those together, and there you have it. So hoping that we can actually kind of just take, obviously we're going to be getting a new X1 to replace what was crashed, but kind of come back with the same package and keep tweaking and try and kick off 2025 kind of where we left off this year, and just try and keep getting better, and maybe a Lincoln win, we can stumble our way into it.
Yeah, and what I love about kind of Lincoln the way it goes now, and I think this year you were at the Icebreaker, I believe. The year before you weren't there. You waited a little bit longer to get going. There were some parts and motors and things, but Lincoln having that 2-day, hopefully they get both of them in. We've only had 1 year with the 2-day show, but that 2-day show, I think in the spring could really be beneficial to some guys, right? Even if the surface isn't great, you can really shake your stuff down, come back the next day and go, okay, all right, let's figure this out, see where we're at. You're not going to know where you're at, end up in June or July or August, but what do you think about that 2-day show? Do you think that could be beneficial for stuff like that? Of like, hey, I wrecked my car at the last race I was in. Don't even know if this thing will run, right? Like, I don't know what I'll have. Do you think that could be beneficial versus you show up on day one, something happens, you're done for the day, and you got to wait a whole nother week to come back? Do you like that idea?
I don't like the idea of washing the race car when it's like 20 degrees after the first night.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, I mean, so you're right. Last year we didn't get to run. I don't think we came out till May. But maybe the 2 years before that, we ran the Icebreaker, and then we did this year. And I know for me, it's just like you sat all winter. And when you start from day one, other than the couple guys that are in Florida, at least you're starting off the same with everybody. When I come out in May, there's nothing worse than having sat a couple months longer than everyone, and then you feel so far behind. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, holy crap. Well, when you're all kind of, knocking the dust off at the same time, it's not always the most enjoyable when it's, a cold, windy day. But I will give Lincoln props. All the tracks take way too much shit on social media. I don't envy any track owner. Sure, they've all made decisions probably this year that I've questioned. But all the crap running these tracks into the ground, when they're making decisions just trying to survive. I'm getting off topic here a little bit, but man, it's frustrating from our perspective, because as a race team, and I think all of us are kind of this way, like, there is nothing worse than waiting around all day just assuming you're going to get rained out at 4 o'clock. Especially like we have lives outside of racing. We have families. Like, it's pretty cool whenever they're like, hey, the weather looks like crap. It's Friday at noon. We're not going to race tomorrow. Like, that's awesome. Like, the wife and I can make plans. You know what I'm saying? So you don't want that every week. And where I was getting with that was Lincoln has been better about, like, I think, just
they've been fantastic.
At one point, it was cool to race when it was 40 degrees and snowing. It's not really that way anymore. Maybe it should be, right? We're all pussies, right? We don't push back. That's the problem. But no, it's when it's nice weather in the beginning of the year, I think those day races are at least super valuable for me to at least feel like I'm getting back up to speed. And I mean, I hope we get every single day race in, because certainly I'll be itching to get our stuff back out there and make laps and try and get comfortable as quickly as possible to start the year off on the right foot.
All right, so we didn't have you on this year. It was last year. So we're going to get you out of here, man. It's been almost an hour. Appreciate your time so much here tonight. Glad you're feeling all right. So I don't remember your answer the first time on the show. Maybe I didn't even do it, but we're going to do it tonight. Somebody you love racing with and somebody you don't love racing with so much. Now, the one that you don't love racing with isn't necessarily because you don't like them. It's just hard to pass. They're a pain in your ass, hard to get around, whatever the case may be. Doesn't have to be what everyone on this show is thinking right now. One of each.
Who I hate racing with the most is Brett Strickler.
Makes sense.
Dude,
Same.
I kid you not, when he sees my nose, that dude picks up a second. And like, he has done some wild shit on the racetrack to stay in front of me. And like, it's all in good fun.
I love it.
But there was a night this year, like I got under him, and it was like, he's just whipping that thing like a wingless car down to the bottom. And I remember, I think the last time we got to race together, it might have been this race, and Lincoln started to rubber up. And he keeps leaving the bottom. And we take the white flag, and I drive right by him. And I was like, let's go. Like, screw you, Brett. But no, man, I kid you not. And JC, you've probably seen it. When we are together, like, if we start on the front row one night, it's going to be like a new 30 lap track record, because it's just going to be trying to not let the other person by. Enjoy racing with, I don't know. I would probably say Hartlob or Wagaman, just because we're buddies. And if I'm racing with them, I'm having a pretty good night. They have their stuff together pretty good. So it's been a little while since I got to race with Troy. But now, I mean, like, it's just it's all in good fun. A couple weeks ago at Lincoln, I think, I wish it was an A, but it was a B main. And, Cody and I ran 1-2 and just had good fun with it. So it's always fun to race with your friends. And yeah, Brett's in that category, but he also drives like a dick whenever I'm around him. So it's also really fun.
That's because he knows what the text message group's going to say. If whoever beats the other, we all know what's coming. That it could be 10 minutes after. There's probably all of you go to your phones after to look at that text message thread of who beat who and who was talking shit to the other one. So I've seen it. I've heard it. I've been there. I can't wait to throw Kyle Keene into that mix next year, hopefully.
I was going to say, if Kyle would bring his ass to Lincoln more, I can put him in a category. But, like, we don't race together enough to know if I like it or hate it. Like, we're always just watching him. So, I don't know. 2 out of the 3 of us run at Lincoln, so he's got to come south. We're not coming north.
Fair enough. All right, man. Thanks, some sponsors. Jimmy, you go ahead and do this part.
Oh, go ahead. You thank whoever helps you get to the track each week, and who's going to help you get back out there next year.
Yeah, so Water Treatment by Design. And one of the things, like, I've been so fortunate, so many of these partners have been with me for almost my whole career. But Water Treatment by Design, Vector Industries right behind me on the hood, they were new to us this year, and I think Jim's going to be on board with us next year. Alloy Wheel Repair Specialist, Tim Piper, State Farm. Dresser's Auto Electric, Key State Ag Transport, X1, Don Ott, DMI. KH Suspension with the FK shocks. I'm probably missing somebody here. I'll just say it's because I hit the wall really hard, and I apologize.
I do want to. We got Chris Frank before I wanted to bring this up. 410 driver Chris Frank said you got shot putted. I like that one. That's a good one. There's been a lot of good puns with this whole ordeal, so I'm hoping everybody can at least laugh about it here. I know things are a little tense, but.
And I want to reiterate that, like, it's all good with Dallas and I, right? So with that, I heard gunshot survivor. It was the shot heard around the world.
He's got that, like, both of his names are so perfect to. There's the puns are almost endless.
Yeah, so
you guys should definitely work together on a shirt of some kind.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
It is a good idea. It is a good idea. Maybe we can find a good cause to collect. Well, I guess the good cause would be rebuilding both of our cars.
There you go.
That's a good idea.
There. Yeah.
Joint venture.
But again, we're glad that you're okay. And it sucks about the race car, but those things can be rebuilt. Person can't. So glad that you and Dallas are both okay. And we thank you so much for taking the time to join us tonight after all this craziness the past 48 hours or so for you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and hopefully maybe I'm joining you after another Outlaw weekend sometime, and it's not because of this shit.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
We
we would love that, man.
I will see you.
See ya. Thank you, Jordan. Jordan Givler, everyone. Always a good time talking to him. Glad to see he's okay. We were talking a little bit before we went on air for a little bit, and just he was explaining some of that stuff in detail. He basically everything he said on the interview, and just pretty wild night for him, pretty wild weekend, and yeah. Let's see here. If I can figure out.
That's great.
Yeah, just so good for Jordan to be okay, and hopefully they get back rebuilt. Let's recap that race here, and let's see here. Let me get this right.
I am.
All right. Saturday night at Lincoln, World of Outlaws, Donnie Schatz takes the win over Carson Macedo and Buddy Kofoid. Outlaws sweep at the podium, womp womp. But then you got Danny Dietrich, Chase Dietz, Kyle Moody, Troy Wagaman, Anthony Macri, David Gravel, and Kyle Reinhart, your top 10. Your hard charger, Matt Campbell, plus 14 from 25th to 11th. This was a very eventful, very long, it seemed like, feature. I only got to see highlights, so Jay-Z, you were there. What did you see from this evening?
First of all, look, another provisional starter got the hard charger. The world cries in unison, oh, it's not fair. All right,
Should
anyway.
really be Kyle Moody.
Stole it from Kyle Moody. But no, this was, man, I'll be honest, as a fan, I was a little let down. Like, there was some great battling through the field, but there were, every time they get near lap traffic, a yellow came out, a red came out, every time. And these guys are too damn good in clean air for it to be a good race up front. They're just too good. And, whether it was Sheldon caused his own yellow to get clean air for Donnie. So, or red, but
tell me whether you've heard Sheldon Haudenschild wreck from the lead before by just getting into, it has to be 4 or 5 times now in the past couple of years that I remember. Yes, it's happened a few times.
That was sarcasm.
I know.
He's wrecked out of the lead more than he's won this year, probably. Not this year.
At least he didn't get his spot back this week. Christ.
True.
Ooh, fair enough.
He did not get his spot back. Yeah, that's karma for that. He was okay, thankfully. But I guess he had a pretty he put a post on X today about kind of all the haters and the real fans, and I guess he took a lot of heat on social media for wrecking his car leading an outlaw race. So there's that. Kind of like we are now. But he tried to wreck it a couple laps before that, and he just didn't quite succeed. So he finally filled up the bingo card on that lap and destroyed it. But man, I was a little let down. Donnie did his job. He was in the right position to take advantage of it. But man, this would have been great in lap traffic. There were some, Danny was really good at the end, and it took a Buddy slider from hell to keep Danny out of third, coming to the white, and killed his momentum. But there were some movers. Moody, great finish. Troy coming up through the field. Somehow Gravel didn't get DQ'd when this initial red flag came out for the pileup off of 2. He was in it, gets out of his car, runs to the edge of the track, and his crew guy was on the racing surface at the very edge of it, and he ran up and told him what he needed. The crew guy ran back to the pits to get everything ready for when the car got there to get it out and back on the track, which is fine. But he has every right to get out of his car, number one. So I heard people saying that. Everybody, Cody Hartlaw was out of his car. Whether his car could roll off or not, he didn't know. He got out of his car. That's not a problem. Car goes back to the pits, unless you get out of your car and you're DQ'd right away or you're in for the night. But the fact that his crew guy was on the racetrack didn't get DQ'd. You're not allowed to be on the racetrack. It's not an open red. So I heard that was an issue. But anyway, gravel could have saved his season coming back and up in Pino after an opening lap red flag. So looks like maybe it's just a top wing, but either way, there was definitely some great battles through the field. Just man, I was really wishing for a better battle up front if they got the lap traffic, because that's what it needed. The surface was great. Fred Putney did a great job for a lot of race cars, and there were 37 front wheel drive bang bangers there.
Forgot about the bang bangers,
to also put laps on the racetrack in a different way, and the track held up really well. Had to do, I don't know if he touched it all night, to be honest with you. So great event for Lincoln Speedway. Place was jam packed. So glad people came out and supported it. The Outlaws actually put up a really cool picture that Trent Gower took of the front stretch, saying, hey, we might, the Outlaws, it was their account, said we might give you all, a hard time, but you can't something about you can't deny the passion. And it was great picture. I mean, the place was just jam packed. So great event. Hopefully Lincoln Speedway made out, and it put on a good show all around. I'm not leaving there going, man, that sucked.
It just sucks to get
beat. I don't hate Donnie winning, but I don't love Donnie winning, and they kind of kicked our ass, to be very frank. But we were there. I mean, you look in that top 10. The top 3 is what we're all going to look at. But if you look at it, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 10th. Like, it's not bad. It's not the ass kicking we've had some weeks at some of these places. Just needed that next step up, right? And I think lap traffic gets there, because I think Danny, who knows, Moody, Chase, Troy, what happens. But it could have been worse for sure. So very happy they got the opportunity to do this, and I hopefully Lincoln Speedway made out well.
Yeah, and I'm hoping this can lead to, when they came last year, early in the year in like March, and Port and Lincoln got weekend races. I think it's so much better for these tracks if they can get a Friday, Saturday night. I know that's always reserved for Williams Grove, but if they could figure something out where these tracks, BAPS and Lincoln specifically, don't need to take middle of the week races and could get a Saturday night, this is what it can do. You saw those grandstands packed. I mean, you're going to sell. So I digress. What happened to Tyler Ross? Because he started second here. It looks like he dropped 12 spots. I'm not sure if he was pretty strong all night. I'm not sure what happened to him though.
I think they just missed it. To be very honest, he was outstanding in the heat, and the dash was just ripping in the dash. One picture I have off of 2 with the right. Oh man, it was cool. But absolutely driving the piss out of it. And the car was there early. I think they may have just missed it for the feature, from what I gathered. I didn't see anything that jumped out to me, but I think they may have just missed the setup a little bit.
Another one, Justin Whittle was announced to be in the 23 cars. Devin Gordon stepping away from that, at least for the rest of this year, to focus on some other things. And Justin Whittle got a chance to get in this 23 car. And he finished his 17th, solid for the one night that he was in this car. I don't know what the future looks like there. I don't know if he's going to run the rest of the season out in that 23 or what. But he looked decent.
Yeah, he timed okay. Wasn't great in the heat. Kind of lost some spots there. I think just didn't get the handle, but came out and won the B main. Looked pretty good in the B. So 40. How many cars?
40. It was 40. Even 40.
40 on the dot. 16 cars went home, and he wasn't one of them. Right.
Yes.
So we've seen some struggles lately with that 23 and C mains and B mains and not making it. So I think they worked on it a little bit and got it good for the B and put it in the show. And that's what you can ask for on a track that, to be frank, that car hasn't run a ton at this year. They have, but Justin's been at 3rd time this year, 4th time this year.
He doesn't run Lincoln very often at all. So,
right. So I think that that's a great showing for them, and pretty pink race car, and for Breast Cancer Awareness Month they put it in the show, and it deserves to be there. So good job to them.
Chris, your thoughts?
Macri backing up again. We talked about it last week. Only 2 spots, but I mean, you talk about Dietrich, Moody, all moving forward, Troy, and then Macri's kind of the guy in position there and goes backwards again.
I thought this was $20,000 to win.
It is. I think they don't. Because they have people here running that weren't running too. I think it was just. I just don't think they have that updated. This is their standard purse money. I don't think they've updated it to reflect the $20,000.
Got it.
Yeah, $20,000 win. Shots winning. He's a legend. you give him clean track end of the race when Sheldon does. I mean, it sounded like a good battle though. If they could ever get green laps going, to Jeremy's point, like I was following on X, and every time they get going, it's like caution, car stopped here. Landon Crowley spins again. What the
They had
hell's
an
going
open
on?
red at one point because of how
So-
many caution laps and everything.
It kind of takes momentum and the fun out of it a little bit when you go 5-lap increments the whole way to the end. But yeah, I mean,
That feels that's Lincoln though, right? I mean, that happens once every 5 races. It feels like there, where you just kind of have those. You get a couple laps in, caution, you know, and then the next week they'll go like this 50 lapper that's coming up. Shit, they might go green the checkered. You never know. You know what I mean? But it does seem like Lincoln is like one of those tracks where it's just like it's hard to get going. Sometimes when cautions bring cautions a lot there.
And
yeah,
you know, just back to the gravel thing. Macedo chops another 14 points off. And it could have been a lot worse if gravel is DQ'd or can't get that car fixed, which he did. But still, putting the pressure on them, there's still a good ways to go for them. How many races do they have left? World Finals is a month away, so
yeah, not too many. We'll go through that here in a second. We'll count up the races. We can go over there. But yeah, Ryan Smith, Cody Hartleb, Cam Smith. I think Mark Smith also involved in. I don't know if he was involved in that opening wreck. I know those first 3 were. He was. It was a big pile up.
Front end was torn off of that car.
So it was a big pile up, like first or second lap or whatever, in turns 3 and 4, where it was just like 5 or 6 cars. So that took a big chunk of the field out. Logan ended up braking, pulling in. Brock ended up braking, pulling in.
I believe Logan was on the move when he broke. I think he was up there running inside the top 5. Somebody would have to like confirm that, but as they were like kind of buzzing by me, I kind of lost track of who was where and what I was trying to catch. Trying to catch pictures. I'm pretty sure Logan was on the move when something broke. So I don't know that for sure. Somebody'd have to confirm for me, or maybe I didn't realize he started inside the top 10. I don't know, but I feel like he was a guy that I was like, oh man, he's rolling. But yeah, something broke there for sure.
Let's get to a couple comments here. I know we've been kind of slacking on it. I apologize. Tyler says, if gravel ends up winning the championship, they're going to look back at this night and being a championship savior for sure. I feel like we've seen past month or 6 weeks, gravel's had a few of those where he has had to salvage otherwise really shitty night just to kind of get points and kind of doing it Brad Sweet style a little bit when he would struggle. It's how you win championships, you know what I mean? So Brad Weatherby says him and Crawley were comparing notes. Crawley brought out a lot of yellows, apparently.
Yes, he did.
Not good. We were like, is it him again? Like it was at 3 and 4, 2 laps in a row. After like once, and then on the restart he did it again, and I'm like, what is going on? Like, what is happening? This guy, and he had a good night going. Like till then, it was bad.
Marie says Chase had 2 strong weekends with the Outlaws. Wish he didn't have a bad draw for the dash. He was quick time overall, and yeah, I mean he's just been on fire. Yeah, the last month or so of the year here. Brad says I talked to Fred for next year. He's going to let Chuck Roush and I race a lap. That would be fun to see.
That is the electric sprint car he's referring to, by the
way. Tyler says, who knows where Campbell ends up if he didn't go to the rear running 11th early in the feature. So he had to go back to front twice. So hell of a run by him. He gained 14 spots, but he probably passed like 30-some cars. Ampe says Ross clobbered the inside wall in one of the restarts. That probably was what led to his demise there. Mandy says, shout out to Chad Trout for the donation drive that they had for the hurricane victims, too. I did see that. A lot of stuff donated, a lot of money raised. That's fantastic to hear. People giving back like that. And then Tyler says there are 7 races left, 2 at Joliet, 2 at Riverside, and then 3 at Charlotte. That's all that's left in the World of Outlaws season. New Jersey game, take a shot every time Crawley causes a caution. You might be a little too drunk by the end of that. Would be the slowest race we ever see. All right, so let's take a look at those points. Gravel now 72-point lead. Donnie Schatz 158. Obviously, he's not gonna catch it, but he's still kind of in the conversation. If I remember, when I heard Donnie's interview, he's just like, if I remember it correctly, he was just kind of like talking about like he's having fun. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's always pressure, but he's having fun. And that's good to see, because that's when, you see a guy like that succeed. You know what I mean? He put himself in position there. He might not have had the fastest car all night, but that's not what it always takes to win. Put yourself up in position to do that.
You win 10 World Outlaw Championships. I think some of the pressure comes off you at this point in your career. Go out and win the races.
Yeah.
And
just
you're
enjoy
third.
it.
You're on he's on the tail end of his career too. I mean, how many more years we have Donnie Schatz full time?
Yeah.
You win 10 World Outlaw Championships. The winningest modern driver we're gonna have, the face of the Outlaws, face of sprint car racing for the last 20 years. I don't think Donnie Schatz wakes up and feels any kind of pressure.
No,
impress anybody.
So. Buddy Gio still at 4th and 5th. Sheldon is in 6th with 8 wins, 6th place in points, 390 points back. Logan there, only that one win, hoping he can grab some more maybe here towards the end of the season. Baylog, Zierfoss, and Crawley round out the top 10. I think Gravel kind of, if he can keep doing what he keeps doing here, honestly, he could keep finishing top 15, and he'll probably be okay to bring this home. But he's, Macedo's given everything he's got right now, because I don't think he's finished outside of a podium spot or top 5 really in a while. He has more top 5s now than Gravel by a couple. So we'll see. It should get interesting here towards the end here. And they will go to Dirt Oval at Route 66 this weekend, Friday and Saturday. That is in Joliet, Illinois. Is that how you say it? Joliet, Illinois. So that'll be this weekend. 2 of their final 7 races. Hopefully they have, I think they're supposed to have good weather, but we'll see. High Limit, let's go High Limit. They had 4 races to close out their season here this week. They closed out the mid-season, the midweek money series on Tuesday night at I-70 Speedway, where Tyler Courtney ended up winning the title, but Brad Sweet gets the win. And that's pretty much the entire, we could say almost for all these races. Brad Sweet, Ryan Timms looked very good, finished in 2nd. James McFadden getting a podium. Aaron Reitzel, Baston, Courtney, Parker Price Miller, Rico, Justin Peck, and Jacob Allen round out your top 10. Just Brad Sweet being Brad Sweet. Then on Wednesday night, this was rescheduled $25,000 to win race at Lucas Oil. Brad Sweet again over Tyler Courtney, Spencer Baston, Corey Day, Casey Kane with a solid run, Rico Aber, Skylar G, James McFadden, Ryan Timms, and Justin Peck, your top 10. And then they go to Texas for 2 nights. First night, again, Brad Sweet. Darren Pittman made the trip down in the 69K. Well, the 69K made the trip down, which is kind of surprising. We heard about it like the day before. Started on the pole, finished the 2nd to Brad Sweet. Ryan Timms with another solid run, P3. Brett Marks, Aaron Reitzel, Justin Peck, McFadden, Corey Day, Tanner Thorson, and Jacob Allen round out the top 10. But Brad Sweet, that's 3 in a row. And then the final night, $50,000 to win season finale at Texas. Posse on top. Brett Marks, Darren Pittman, your top 2 with Emerson Axum, P3. So good run for him. Corey Day, Ryan Timms, Rico Aber, Tyler Courtney, Corey Lyson, Spencer Baston, and Justin Peck, your top 10. So a whole lot of Brad Sweet. And then Brett Marks closing out the season. Nice $50,000 payday. Thoughts from these races?
I do want to say I looked up Carson Macedo, 10 of his last 14 races, top 5s.
Yeah, he's on a tear, man. Pretty
Sorry,
wild.
Chris. Go ahead, buddy.
I only watched the highlights of Brad Sweet. flipping James McFadden again Saturday night.
Yeah.
But Darren Pittman both nights strong all night long and probably was damn close to
Back-to-back
pulling the sweep.
poles.
He
Yeah.
almost pulled the sweep. Just slipped up a little bit there Friday night. Brad Sweet is really good, as it turns out, and passes him. And then Brent Marks ends his year on a high note, gets that 5th charter spot clinched. So didn't watch much of it. Texas is a weird track to me. It's like a
It doesn't
Charlotte
get very wide.
knockoff. Just weird. It's like a lot
It
of.
doesn't feel like Charlotte at all. I don't know why people keep saying that. It's not like Charlotte at all.
It looks a lot like Charlotte from the quick.
It does. It doesn't.
But
it's so flat. It's narrow.
Yeah, it's just a lot of.
It looks nothing like it. I don't know why people keep saying that.
It's just you can't race on.
It's SMI, so I get it, but it's to me it's nothing like Charlotte.
I don't know. Good for them. Finished their 16 drivers finished out the full year for them, and they celebrated that. So good stuff.
Yeah, good win for Brent. 50,000. Good for him to finish the year off, and good for somebody else other than Brent Sweet to win a race in like the last month of the High Limit Series. It feels like, because he was just. I mean, going into this week, Brad already had clinched the title, and then in case you thought he was gonna just kick back and enjoy it and take it as a victory lap, nah, he was gonna go out and win. So, the James McFadden thing, with him and James McFadden, it's like the 3rd or 4th time now they've gotten together this season, which, they used to be teammates, and it's just weird. When you're running up front all the time, that's 2 really good cars, really good drivers. When you're not running up front, sometimes you just, around the same guys, sometimes you're going to get into each other. I don't think when Brad went low, he expected McFadden to kind of cut down, and just kind of caught him at the right time and sent McFadden for a pretty hard ride. And he was pretty emotional getting out of the car. He was emotional last night at the banquet awards, as he announced that we pretty much all knew it, but he announced officially that he will not be back in the Roth car, will not be back in the States next year full time. Hopefully comes back at least for a chunk of the season, but he will be no longer coming. This was his last full-time season in the United States, which is sucks, because he's a really good driver, and he could really compete. So U.S. kind of loses a really good full-time driver there. Any thoughts, JC?
We are worse off in the States for not having J-Mac around. That personality, hell of a talent. We're worse off for it, man. It sucks, but I get it. I totally get it. Like, that's home, family, young kids. Man, go be happy. Go home. I'm perfectly fine with that. Yeah, sucks, but happy for him.
It was cool to see the 69K go there again, and they were competitive right out the gate at a track that they were never at before. Poles 2 nights in a row. Wish you could get a win, but they're competitive with very limited starts. You can't hate that. So let's take a look at the final point standings. Driver standings finishes like this: Brad Sweet, Tyler Courtney, Rico Aber, your top 3. Brent Marks and Corey Day, 4th and 5th. Justin Peck, James McFadden, Spencer Baston, Parker Price Miller, and Corey Eliason rounding out the top 10. And then the midweek money series, Tyler Courtney wins that over Brad Sweet, Baston, Day, and McFadden. So we get a little bit of payday for that. Owners, if this would work. The owners' points, which is what the charters are based off of. Obviously, the 49, the 77 BC, and the 24. Now the 83 has a charter, and Brett Marks gets that 5th charter at the 19. Be interesting to see, because now with McFadden not being in the 83, do they find another driver to go run and keep that charter? Does Brett Marks stay out there now that he got the charter, or does kind of hearing it could go either way with him? Is the charter enough to make people stay out there with them? I guess we're going to find that out next year, or I guess in the off season as things get announced. But yeah, those are your 5, and then next year it'll be the next 5 that don't already have a charter. That will get your top 10 charters for with the High Limit Series.
No, Brad, that's not what's going to happen.
Just affected the A3 now. Yes, Corey Day is going to be going asphalt racing, so who knows what happens with that 14.
I think there's pretty solid rumors there. They're all rumors, but it's been pretty. Seems like it's one of the worst rumors. None of these are. I'm sorry, not worst rumors, but worst kept secrets. None of these are. The only one we don't really know is now that it's confirmed that McFadden isn't back. Is do they run a second Roth 83?
Right.
Does sound like they want to. Toyota wants to run both cars. Who goes in it?
Randy has a good question here, and I don't know how to answer it. Is how does Pittman stay so sharp, not running many races? Being very
No idea.
good, just being good, just being that good. Lots of years of experience. Probably keeping himself in shape too, and just being good in a good car. I think that's. But it's
Probably one of the
impressive
more
to stay that sharp.
Like very good race car driver and outlaw champion, but one of the more underrated guys in I think the history of the sport. Like as good as he is, and like everyone gives him when I say underrated, I'm thinking like he's not a guy you talk about as an all-time great or one of the Mount Rushmore or whatever, but like to think about his career and he's had success, but he doesn't get mentioned in the greats of the greats. But he's talented enough to be there. It just shows you how important that the chemistry and the opportunity and the everything go right for guys is. He can jump in a pretty good car and shows you what he can still do.
He had the good luck of coming up through during Steve Kinser's peak and Donnie Schatz's whole career, the road of the Outlaws. So it's kind of bad timing. Like if you're not in one of those 2 cars, you're not gonna win all the Knoxville Nationals and the National Opens and the Kings Royals and everything to the level that kind of makes you remember that. And then, of course, he kind of fizzles, ending his career, and you have Brad Sweet kind of taking off. It's like, well, shit.
Let's take a look, I guess, towards this weekend then. And the 50 lap, the final 50 is what this is being dubbed as at Lincoln Speedway. Championship night, the final race at Lincoln for the year. Got a little bit of format change for the 410s. Last week, I think they announced this. $15,000 to win now with some bonuses at halfway. It'll be a 50-lap feature. I would imagine they're going to do a red. Well, yeah, they have to right at midway because they're giving away the leader at lap 25 will get $5,000. And then the rest of the top 5 also gets paid out at halfway. Pretty cool deal, a little bit different. And gates open at 4. Racing is at 6. Looks like a beautiful, sunny, 70-degree day that's going to turn quickly to about -5 degrees as soon as the sun goes down. So, because there won't be a cloud in the sky, it's going to get cold. So, hopefully, I would argue even maybe starting this earlier, but considering it's a 50-lap race and you have 358s. So hopefully they just keep it moving all night because it's going to get cold quick. But this would be awesome. I think I'm thinking about going. I know me and Chris were talking about going. Kind of close the year off there. What are you guys looking forward to with this race on Saturday?
If I'm there, I'm going to try to have fun. I don't know. Lincoln, the 50-lap thing after what we saw last weekend, I don't know. That's different. So we could be there till church time Sunday morning if things go wrong. So
Jay-Z, any thoughts?
I think this is cool. Something different. I'm curious to see how a 50-lap race goes here. And extra payouts at halfway. There's an incentive to be good early, middle, late. I think that $5,000 is pretty sweet. I'm kind of hyped for it, and I'm just as excited for the 358 show. They haven't been on the track in a little while. They got champion stuff to pay out. All those drivers are excited to get back at it, and yeah, I think it's a great way to end the season. Something different.
Go ahead.
No, just something different. I mean, that's true,
Yeah.
and it's doing its purpose, right? You make these changes, you get attention. People say, "Hey, that's different. Let's go do that." And the weather looks like it's going to cooperate. So
Yeah, 358 division will have an enhanced purse, and it'll be PA Speed Week format, so it'll be time trials. You know, quick time goes back to fourth in the heat races and all that, and a redraw. I thought they were gonna. I didn't. I wasn't sure if they're gonna do like an invert or something at halfway, but it looks like they'll just keep it straight up. But should be definitely interesting. I'm excited to see it. It's cool that it kind of came together so quickly, and that they're doing something special to end the year a little bit extra. Yeah. Chris, before we get going, Chris, let's talk about our partner here, Vertical for Life. You got to go to Cookout on what, Thursday?
yeah, well, I went to Brad's Brad Weatherby. He runs Vertical for Life. He had me over for chili and music. A good time, just kind of watching him smoke his. He used to smoke brisket and knife to hurry up and get as many different chilies. There was a sweet chili that was supposed to be a regular chili, and I know Brad's still watching, and he jacked it all up. So it ended up being a sweet chili, still really good. But had to restart over, and then end the night with some spicy chilies. A bunch of people hanging out, telling stories and stuff, and it's cool to get there with Brad. He's a good guy, and his not for profit. It's got a good cause. So I hope he said it was his biggest one. They had 15 gallons of chili worth of processing there. It was good time. Definitely want to do it again next year. And there's some more events I know that he'll be setting up soon, and I look to try to attend them. We get Jimmy to go eat some chili.
Yeah, he was sending me pictures of all the meats he was smoking, and I'm like, oh man, it looks so good.
Here goes 8 guitars and singers. I got booed off the stage. Turns out I cannot play guitar. Fun facts. I didn't even try, but if I would have tried, I would have got booed off the stage.
So yeah, just check out Vertical for Life. They prevent, trying to help prevent veteran suicide and just helping veterans with mental health in general. Definitely check them out.
Raising money with music.
Yes. Very, very awesome thing that Brad does. Something very near and dear to him, and just really, really cool thing that they do. And we are glad to be, anything that we can do to help is nice.
Jack's Shine Shack is in Dillsburg, November 10th. Salute to veterans. That's a Vertical for Life fundraising event. Sounds like.
Oh, cool. November 10th.
November 10th. What day of the week is that?
That is a Sunday.
Sunday fun day.
Sunday fun day. Jimmy Jack's Shine Shack.
And obviously, when we get more information, we'll share that with our page too.
Yeah.
Haven't gotten over there yet. It's not that far from me, 10 minutes or so. But I've probably driven past it. I have tried it. He was, I think they usually have a trailer at the Williams Grove Fall Fest. Pretty good stuff.
That will be on the group page soon from 8 to 1. We'll definitely share that once all the information and everything's out there. But definitely keep that in the back of your mind. You'll be hearing more about that from us here in the future. All right, let's close this out. Let's close it out with Drink It and Dump It. You know this. Do it every week. Drink it to somebody you want to give a cheers to. Dump it to somebody you want to pour one out to, who had a good weekend, who had a bad weekend. Who wants to go first? I'll go first.
I will.
All right,
Jimmy,
go
you're
ahead. No, go ahead.
Drink It. James McFadden, great career. Great ambassador of the sport. Had a lot of challenges to overcome this year, and just a great human. Great again. We are better for having a James McFadden in the U.S.
Yes.
I'm also going to drink it to Trey Hivner. He announced he will be retiring after this weekend from racing. So he will be his last career race at Lincoln Speedway this weekend. So shout out Trey. I got to know them a little bit the last couple of years. Great family, great people. happy to see. I'm sure he'll succeed in whatever he does. In his next endeavor. And Marie hit it. Chad Trout, and great donations to the hurricane victims in North Carolina. They put on an event at Lincoln Speedway this past Saturday to bring items for people down in North Carolina. So a lot of trinkets. I hope I didn't take anybody else's there. I tried to do it a little unique, but I think all very important. And I'm going to dump it to Givler, to our buddy Jordan. Not the way he wanted it to go, and just at the end of the season with the little bit that they do have to put a really good looking race car out there and support these racetracks, just to have that kind of thing happen. It is racing, but the whole situation sucks. I'm glad that everybody's going to move on, and it's a long winter to get back going, ready for the spring.
Those are good choices. I'm going to drink it to Brad Sweet, and I'm going to dump it to Brad Sweet. I'm going to drink it because he closed out the season, got 6 straight national championship. You can say what you want about High Limit, but that was just as competitive probably as the Outlaws. Pretty damn close, if not just as competitive. So that's nothing to turn your nose at. He had a fantastic season, and he kicked ass the last 2 weeks here, a couple weeks here of their season. So congratulations to him. But also dump it for taking out McFadden again on Saturday night. Got to be better. I know it wasn't totally his fault, but come on, man. And dump it to McFadden. Really sad to see him go. Remember him in the Highlands 3 car. That's where I got acquainted with him. Almost winning that one national open years ago. Was amped up for him. I remember when he got out of the car, finished like second or third, and my girlfriend Kim was like the first one to hug him when he got out of the car. He's like, "Who the hell is this?" Just an awesome, solid guy. Really, really good, talented race car driver. I know we'll see him again, but it kind of sucks to lose a really good full-time talent like that. So yeah, that's what I'll go there, Chris.
Rank it to one of Outlaws and Lincoln getting this event in, given short notice, the issues with Selinsgrove and such. And obviously for the fans turning out, that's the advantage of holding an event like that here. The fans are going to be there. The cars are going to be there. So drink it to that. Drink it to me for picking the Outlaws to win, going against what I want to do, but it's right.
You always got to bring yourself into this, don't you?
Well, it's not like you bringing Brock into every single conversation.
I don't. I haven't brought Brock up once.
You mentioned him during a rundown just for no reason.
Because he was on the rundown.
I'm going to dump it to Jimmy lying right now for bringing Brock up every week.
I did not bring Brock. I didn't say Brock's name once.
Lies. Roll the tape. Yeah, otherwise, it sucks for all the crash race cars, for Jordan, Dallas, all those, everyone. Whether it's your fault or not, it just sucks. Going into the offseason with tore up shit. That sucks.
Let's get to some fan ones here. I'm also going to dump it to Chris because I'm not kidding. Michael says, drink it to J-Mac on a hell of a career, full-time and awesome, outstanding guy. Santos, drink it to Matt Campbell for coming through this stout field twice. That X-car was on rails. Dump it to the whole deal with Jordan and Dallas. Brad Weatherby, drink it to Fred Putney for the track on Saturday. McFadden, Brad Sweet, and Chad Trout. Marie says, drink it to all the posse drivers. Dave Scott Smeltzer, I guess we can guess who he's going to drink it to. Chase Dietz, making the dash last 3 Outlaw dashes, and dump it for accidents at Lincoln. Chase Dietz has been awesome, man. He's really been somebody towards the end of the year here where it's like, maybe now next year, I don't know if it's unfair expectations, but he's going to be a guy when we're talking Outlaws. We're always talking Danny, we're talking Macri, we're talking, even Troy and Freddie. I think Dietz he's shoved himself in that conversation now because he was one of the few that showed up. I shouldn't say one of the few, but he definitely showed up. Dump it to all the accidents Saturday, says Marie. Brad says, dump it to Lana Crowley, Jordan Givler, Dallas Shot. William Loggeman, drink it to Kyle Larson for his runaway victory on Sunday. Yeah, shout out to him. And to the idiot for pushing a good driver around on Saturday. Dump it to the idiot for pushing a good driver around on Saturday. Lincoln really embarrassed for him. Chuck Roush says, all forward. Congrats, Donnie at Lincoln. Mandy, drink it. Chad Trout for the Today's Drive. J Mac for the wonderful career in the U.S. And being a great driver in whatever car he's in. Brett Marks winning. Duppet, Givler and Shop, Hodenshield, everyone involved in that early crash on Saturday, and all the cautions in general. Crawley for causing half of them. Randy, drink it to the young folks behind me. It was their first ever race, and they liked it. That's awesome to see. I'd like to hear that. Duppet, Logan Schuhart at Lincoln. Daniel Lee, drink it to Kyle Moody with a solid finish at Lincoln after being out of action mid-season. Yeah, that was great run by him. Dump it. Michael says, jump it to the rain for canceling some of the races this year. Tyler, drink it. Briggs Danner picking up another USAC win on Friday night. And then dump it to Briggs crashing on Saturday in the USAC feature. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody, for always participating in this. This is always fun. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Dave says one more time. Yeah, this is a good one. Drink it to Barry Jackson on one heck of a cur as he is retiring from the CJB number 5. And Dakota says, drink it for DK finishing in front of Critter. Dump it for Critter finishing behind DK in cartoons.
Fun for you this week, DK.
Fun night. Great. Thank you so much to Jordan. Glad to hear he's okay. Glad to hear Dallas was okay, too. And that they talked, that he issued an apology. That's not always easy to do. You could say what you want, but at least he at least went that far, and I think that's pretty solid.
I don't think it's lost to any of us that Dallas watches the show and watches us weekly, and we appreciate that. So
yeah, and everybody here that watches us weekly, and everybody that tuned in, if you can hit that likes button, hit that subscribe button, it helps us out. We're going to try to we're getting towards the end of the season here, trying to look towards 2025 and do some different things. So thanks, everybody, for your support as always, and we will see you guys